I'm flattered to be mistaken for Siri. I admire her a lot. I even wrote her a song. Google is red, Google is blue, apples are sweet, and Siri is too.
I believe it was William Shakespeare who said, to Android or not to Android, that's the question.
It gets mad at you.
Yeah.
The ghost of Steve Jobs invades the computer, and it's just like...
Goes Tim Apple all over you.
Yeah, Tim Apple all over you.
I had to use the irate agent to help me find the
Boy,
poop.
I bet they loved looking for that.
They do it a lot, they said, actually. The lady laughed. She's like, yeah, we do that a lot.
Did they have to decide which pile was your dog's?
Thankfully, no.
Now you can play Apple Music directly on the Sonos with the A-Lady, Allison. What are your thoughts about that?
But I have an A-Lady that I can do that with.
Oh, go ahead. Make it simple. Fine.
Yeah. I care.
Well, so. I know, I gather that, and I don't want to minimize your caring by my lack of caring. I'm just going to sit here quietly and not care.
I care about.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Wait. Your turn, Allison.
I don't care. We're such jerks to each other.
TBT2, TBT2. This is TBT1. How copy? Over. Yes, this is TBT2 standing by. TBT2, do you have a visual on the secondary target? Yes, we do. Presently, the secondary target is in the kitchen, scratching his butt, texting someone named Allison Mervis, and watching TiVo.
And a 3, and a 4, and a 5. This is New School Countdown.
All right.
Welcome back to yet another Blind Tech Show. We got the gang back together because we've had a couple of episodes here and there. How you doing tonight, Allison Mervis?
I don't even know where I am right now because I'm on the West Coast still, moving back to the East Coast in a couple of weeks. So my brain is in like 6 different places right now.
And not to one-up you, but I'm moving in 4 days, so it's all about me, as we always know.
Yeah, but you're moving 4 blocks. I'm moving 2,500
4
miles,
New York blocks, so we're more sophisticated.
Okay. All right, so we're like 8 blocks,
East
maybe.
Coast snob here. And Jeff Thompson, who I believe is still living in the same home same home. We'll just call it same home. How you doing there today, Jeff? He is the owner of that home, though, right, Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff, he's still at the home.
The home.
Hi-ho, Kermit the Frog here from Sesame Street News. Now, Mr. Thompson, we have heard that you are from the 60s or the 70s. There are even some speculation that you are actually from the Jurassic period. So my question to you is, how old are you?
No, I know exactly where I am. I'm on that Blind Tech Show with 2 of my best friends here.
Aww.
How are you both doing? I'm glad to be here.
Now, Allison, can we be best friends considering none of us have never met in person?
Of course we can. Some of my greatest friendships have been and started online. Yeah.
Jeff, as long as she didn't say some of her best friends are imaginary, that's all I needed to hear.
Did I say I meant good friends.
Speaking of friends, we are all Facebook friends, and I got a good chuckle out of this because Facebook is hard at work creating an A-Lady competitor, and all I could think about this was, oh great, it'll probably butcher what I'm saying worse than Siri and give away all my personal information. What are your thoughts about an artificial assistant from the Facebook, Allison?
Never, ever, ever letting it in my house. I do not trust Facebook.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
This is how Brian dates, apparently.
Hey.
Well, Allison, I have heard that Brian does get quite intimate with his other assistive devices.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. Jeff, Facebook assistant, because I know you're a big fan of the Portal.
Hey, Portal. No, I do not need another device right now. You got that 5-second delay. I got it on. So if one of the devices doesn't know something, I say something to the other one comes back. I don't respond to that. I don't need one more. Please, please, please. However, Google just jazzed up their assistive device's voice. Now you can get Mr. John Legend. Hey, Google. Hey, Siri.
I'm flattered to be mistaken for Siri. I admire her a lot. I even wrote her a song. Google is red, Google is blue, apples are sweet, and Siri is too.
You know, it would be cool going back to the 80s and everything, not to date myself, but if I could just clap, and they'd stop listening until I clapped again and everything. That'd be great, because it drives me nuts. And Jeff heard me earlier today, and I can't repeat what I said, but Jeff and I were talking on the phone, and the A-lady decided to start telling me, like, the square footage of Anchorage, Alaska for some reason.
Oh.
That actually made it the most intelligent conversation I ever had with Brian.
Yeah, and let's just say there were a lot of four-letter words directed at the A-lady and everything. So a simple... to shut up, and it won't start listening. I'm too lazy to actually... I like on the Sonos, though, how you can just flick to the right and it'll stop listening and everything. That is kind of cool.
Ooh, that must be new.
Yeah, it's if you just flick on the device, it stops listening, because there was a period where I was sleeping with my A-lady. No, it wasn't sexual.
I have heard that Brian does get quite intimate with his other assistive devices.
Actually, it was the Sonos lady, and in my sleep, I would accidentally smack it and flick it off to stop listening.
Wow.
And then in the next day, I'd ask the A-lady, what's the weather? And it wouldn't tell me anything, and I'd curse at it because...
Apparently, you're very violent in your sleep.
Yeah.
I have been told I am a violent sleeper, so...
I always wonder why you needed leather straps for your Sonos.
And don't forget about the mouth guard, Jeff. I have night terrors.
The one thing you really got to watch about the Sonos or some of these devices, if you're dusting, like dusting, that's like taking a rag and wiping up the dust, Brian. If you ever do that, you'll notice you can change some settings. And I found that out because Allison's house cleaner.
Yeah, the Merry Maids would always mute her.
Actually, my cleaning lady, Jeff.
Whoa, Brian, you have a cleaning lady named Jeff?
I have a very tidy apartment outside of the dog hair, and my cleaning lady has turned mine off and everything. So it's great, though. I just wish I could just do it from on the couch, because we've established one thing. We've established a lot of things. I don't like to get off the couch. So.
You know, when you were talking about imaginary lovers or friends and stuff like that, you're really wrecking this by telling me that cleaning ladies are a turnoff.
That's just very disappointing. Very disappointing.
I know. It's like heartbreaking. I better stick to the French maids.
Jeff, what kind of a world are we living in when not even the Weather Channel is safe?
I know, it went out for over an hour.
How did people survive without the Weather Channel for an hour?
Ah!
All is well, stay calm. So.
I mean, like the Weather Channel, we're holding you a ransom for how? I mean, is that like a rich company? I mean, really?
Well, we did establish a few episodes ago that the Weather Channel's been tracking everybody. So, Allison, this was pretty cool because somebody, not cool, but I found it cool. The Weather Channel didn't. I guess somebody sent them that ransomware where they, hijacked their computers or took the network down and everything, and the FBI is now involved because they're not busy enough with other stuff. Can you imagine people actually had to, look at weather gods on their phone for an hour to see what the weather is?
I know, right? I don't remember the last time I actually accessed. Well, I guess with the Weather Channel is kind of like the backbone now for a lot of our apps. So
yeah, it's or you just ask the S lady, what's the weather, or the A lady, or the G lady.
But she gets her data from the Weather Channel, so actually this was a bigger deal. You're poo-pooing it.
For Apple people, it was, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was their live feed. So if you tune in to their live feed, that was what went down.
Oh. I don't know if I've ever... I used to, occasionally with my dad watch the actual Channel 34 Weather Channel on the television.
To me, it's like when we were young and watched the test pattern on the TV.
Right. Or listen to Pink Floyd,
Same thing.
Yeah.
This is That Blind Tech Show public service announcement. If you know what channel the Weather Channel is by heart, please stop listening to our podcast because you need to get outside more. That has been brought to you by Bait.
And while you're out there, check out the weather.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell us. Come back and tell us what it's
Tell us. So it's hot and muggy here in New York.
There was a job opening for 1 hour there for people like that. Whoever thought that thing would ring? Okay, I'll get it. Didn't even know it worked. I'll get it.
Okay.
You're our first caller, so welcome to That Blind Tech Show. How are you doing?
My name is Alan.
What's up, Alan?
I sort of found this microphone in the trash.
That's nice. That's nice.
Well, anyway,
what's your question, Alan?
My question is, why don't you talk about the issues that are important to America, like Jell-O and Kool-Aid and adult diapers? And my other question is, can I borrow $40?
Hey, Brian, it's for you.
Yeah, I hung up. Allison, I believe it was William Shakespeare who said, to Android or not to Android, is that the question? And I'm probably butchering the Shakespeare quote.
You are,
and
but that's okay.
Yes.
It's pretty close, though.
It was close. It was Android. It was about Android, not iOS, right? The Shakespeare quote.
I think it actually was Hamlet, though.
Oh, was it Hamlet? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was Android.
Yeah, Bill Hamlet, right? Bill or Steve Hamlet. Anyways, Allison, I am debating dipping my toe into the Android waters. What are your thoughts about where Android is?
Oh, it's better. It's definitely better than it was. I think it's gotten in a lot of ways quite comparable. The only thing that Android does not have, which I rely on quite heavily, is the magic tap for various functions, whether usually starting and stopping audio very quickly. Anytime I would play with Android, even more recent versions, I found that was a real problem for me because I had to go into the app wherever I was listening to something and find the pause button. That's one of the things I actually really liked about the Fire OS, my little tablet, is that I didn't have to do that. It had the magic tap, but Android proper still has not gotten on board the magic tap train. Other than that, though, I think it's gotten really good. And in some ways, I kind of like it, how they handle some things better, like the rotor. There's no rotor. You simply flick up and down to go through various rotor options, and then it changes how you go left and right. So you flick up until you hear characters, then you move left and right by character, or you go back to regular navigation, and you can do it. In a way, it's a lot simpler than iOS, the way Android has done it, and I never thought I would say that.
Does it have any kind of dictation, though, with a two-finger double tap, or no?
Not with the two. There is no such thing as a two-finger double tap for anything.
Okay, so what about dictation of any kind, like in text
There is a
fields?
dictation button on various keyboards, yes. You can dictate, and it's pretty good, but no two-finger double tap for invoking those quick functions that we're very used to in iOS.
How about you, Jeff? Would you ever consider, diving into the dark side?
You mean romaine lettuce?
Ooh, hey, romaine just came back, man.
Hey, now I love my Caesar salads.
Yeah, Android. I'm not ready to dive into it yet. I need something that's just going to be as efficient as my iOS devices are to me. I want it to just work like an Apple. It just works, right?
Just works. It's Apple.
I've heard other podcasters talk about the Samsung OS or the Android OS. What's going to be there in the future, what's going to be more accessible. Well, they're not there yet, either one of them. I know Samsung, they do have the double tap.
Samsung does have the magic tap. I hear, though, that Samsung Pay is not accessible, and that's a huge deal breaker for me if I was going to ever switch.
Well, the reason I'm debating it is I found out because, unfortunately, I'm having to go back to Spectrum cable because my new building doesn't allow Verizon Vios. And outside of the cost of the phone, I could have another phone for $14 a month. And amazingly, I must live on the international phone port divider because I can't take my phone number I've had for 8 years, my landline.
Oh.
Yeah. I hung up on Spectrum 3 times and called back getting different people on different days, and I got the same answer. So that's the whole point of why I'm thinking about diving into Android, because I'd like to keep this number it's my office number and everything. So
It's your landline, right?
It is my landline, yes. And I already do have a new landline number, and they gave me the area code, and I was like, it's 929. I'm like, is that even New York? I'd never heard of it. I had to Google it.
Does TiVo still get its data from landlines?
No, it dials up by 28.8 baud. Yeah. The one thing I will not, I'm looking at probably going Pixel 3.
Good phone.
If I do make the jump in, which you'll know by next episode because I have to decide in the next few days, I definitely will not be going with the Samsung Fold.
No?
Have you not read the news, the reviews? Although I don't think these cracks would affect us blind people, but I hear visually it doesn't look good on the phone.
Is it a Samsung break?
Yeah, exactly. The Samsung. It's funny because I believe when we announced the Samsung Fold on this show, I referred to it as utter crap. And that's what I'm hearing. People like the design, but it doesn't work.
It's the utter crack.
The utter crack, exactly. Well put. I think foldable phones should have maybe stayed in the studio with Apple's AirPower.
There never was an Apple AirPower. No, it
never existed.
Glad I never held my breath.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Fold should have never existed. So we'll see what happens. I mean, anytime anything's the first version of anything, there's bound to be issues.
Yeah.
And there's definitely, all you have to do is Google Samsung Fold, and they've got some great headlines out there for this.
I'm glad my parents didn't think that way.
Ooh, food
Just
for
saying.
thought. Food for thought. Otherwise, Allison and I would probably be having to find a different editor because you wouldn't exist. Wow, deep thoughts. Deep thoughts.
Too deep for a Friday night, man.
Yeah. Loosen up, folks. Loosen up.
Hello, Jeff Thompson. My name is Akimbe Akumbe Arakman from Iri News. I would like to know, our viewers would like to know, is it true that Brian picks his nose before, during, and after the podcast? Thank you.
I have to point. I'm pointing a finger at both of you while I tell you this next thing. I
What's on his finger?
absolutely hate Apple News Plus.
Oh, you do?
In fact, I canceled my free trial today.
Ooh.
I found if you looked at any non-mainstream magazine, which I like, American history stuff that, is not mainstream, Guide Dog Monthly, Beagles and Seagulls. I found the accessibility to be awful, and somebody was explaining to me that they were basically just PDFs thrown together, and it drove me nuts, even though I could really care less about the images. But when I hear something and it's Apple and it just says image, I know it's new, but I really feel that Apple dropped the ball with Apple News Plus. So what are your guys' thoughts now that you've been using it for a while?
Honestly, I got the trial and I barely used it now.
It's another reason I canceled it. I'm never going to use it.
I mean, I do look at People magazine every now and then. I'm going to have a longer commute ahead of me for my new job, so I probably will use it more.
California to Ohio is pretty far. Oh, that's right. You're moving.
You could take the river.
I could take the river.
Well,
But
isn't, what's his name, designing something that you could get in and it'll just shoot you to Ohio?
Elon Musk, yeah, it's going to be great once it works, but it's going to be terrible for a while because it's going to, kill people. The Hyperloop, yeah. It's going to, crush you and put you back together again.
Can we get a blind tech show exclusive on that if you do it from California to Ohio? Make that happen?
Sure, but if I die on the air, can you not air that maybe? Because that would be pretty squishy and awful.
Stopped using it. What about yourself there, Jeff? Are you a news junkie with Apple News Plus?
Yeah, I do like news. I am a news junkie.
I'm a junkie, I'm a newser, I'm an Apple Plus news user. I get my news on the run.
News Plus gives me another option. I have access to over 300 magazines at my fingertip. I can just double tap and download them to my phone. I have full access to them while I'm on a plane, train, or automobile. And I don't have to worry about data. That's a nice option. My free trial was going to lapse, but I decided to keep it on because I do like News Plus. I do like the option. I like it that they made it so easy to unsubscribe. So if you do get into a spot where you don't think you need it anymore, well, get rid of it then. And that's easy enough to do. Just go to your apps folder, go to your account, and swipe down a couple, and you'll see your subscriptions. It'll open up, and boom, there you go. You can opt there what you want to do with them. Keep them going, or keep on subscribing, baby.
Well, one of the other things that drove me nuts about it, I was reading The New Yorker, which is a fairly mainstream magazine. They had an article about our former Laugh for Sight host, who was just sentenced to 3.5 years, unrelated. And I'm 1/3 of the way through the article, and all of a sudden I'm on the back button. And Jeff and I were talking about this earlier today, but it just seems in a lot of publications on both Apple News and Apple News Plus, there seems to be something refreshing in the background that causes focus to be lost.
That is a bug. That's a bad one, too. And I thought they would have fixed it in the latest update, but nope.
No dice. And
no dice.
I have noticed it in CBS's apps as well as the Score, and some are worse than others, but I just got so frustrated that I was like, Apple News Plus, you're dead to me. You're sleeping with the fishes. So
as for accessibility, what you're talking about, that bug where it goes to the back button, pops up there, and voiceover gets lost, that is not a News Plus problem. It is an Apple problem with the software and voiceover getting the attention to something that's refreshing. I would not put this on News Plus as the problem. It exists there, but it exists a lot of places, as you mentioned, and hopefully they get that fixed. They have not fixed it yet, but hopefully they do.
Allison, we've established one thing. Jeff and I are rule followers.
Oh, sure.
I think you're probably the rule breaker on the show.
I am the maverick. Yeah.
So, well, good news here, because remember all those times that you pulled out your USB drive improperly without ejecting it first? Well, Microsoft has just confirmed that it's completely okay to do that.
Oh, good, because, I was really worried.
You were. We knew you were doing that a lot, and Jeff and I kept telling you.
Not
You're going to screw up your computer. So what are your thoughts about this, Jeff? We know you're a ABC, follow the rule kind of guy.
On my hard drives, if I have to take one off, I always do eject it first because they always never stop vibrating. But could you please look up that mattress tag? Can I rip that off now, or is that still going to get me in jail?
You're still going to go to jail for that.
Well, one's jail and one's just going to brick your computer or something.
Yeah.
I remember years ago on the Mac, I went the Allison route and broke the rules because I looked out my window, I didn't see anybody watching, and I just yanked the USB drive out, and then that message wouldn't go away. I had to restart the computer. You ever have that happen?
Yep, on the Mac, it doesn't go away. It gets mad at you.
Yeah.
The ghost of Steve Jobs invades the computer, and it's just like...
Goes Tim Apple all over you.
Yeah, Tim Apple all over you. So if you like to just yank out your USB drives, we want to hear from you. Email us in thatblindtechshow@gmail.com or tweet us in about all your great USB stories. And if you have more than one, they're not that great. And that's Blind Tech Show on the Twitter and everything. So
We could call them our Thumb Drive Yanker Club.
should we start that?
We just did.
Well, Allison, since Jeff is busy starting our new club, did you come across this new iOS gesture, 2-finger flick to the right, which is jump to related content?
No.
Have you noticed this? It's about time.
Is it a voiceover gesture?
It is on iOS. If you invoke the help menu with the 4-finger double tap, and you do a 2-finger flick to the light, is that like
Go
part
to
right,
the light.
right, left? Let's try that in English. We are in America. Bright light. Gremlins.
Oh.
So if you do a 2-finger flick to the right, it says jump to related content. Now, currently, I think this only really works on the iPad, and what it is if you're in Mail, it's similar if you use a Mac to Control Option J, where it's going to jump you between your messages and the actual message and everything.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I think this could be quite useful once app developers are made aware of it, and more so on the iPad than the iPhone, but yeah, so this is a cool new gesture. What are your thoughts about VOJ coming to the iPad in a gesture?
I like it. What if you go to the left? Does it take you back?
No, 2-finger flick to the left is like an Android type thing. You've got nothing.
It's just a jump to the right.
I don't use it in Mail that much, but they finally got VOJ working all over the Mac, so you can jump from your sidebar to the content, and then from the content to the sidebar. It's just a great command and everything.
Now, the way I interact with my Mac, the Mail client on my Mac, I use it all the time. VOJ, I go from the sidebar to the messages to the actual message. It's a good way to navigate.
What are your thoughts about it coming to the iPad, especially those bigger... You have a bigger iPad. Is it something you think you'd use on the iPad?
I'm kind of proud of my iPad, Brian.
Hey, size does matter.
Pixels matter, Brian. Pixels matter. I like having different options for gestures. I don't know how many times I use it. It's just like, how many times do you do the 4-finger swipe to the right to go from app to app?
Or 3D touch. Which I never use.
Oh, God, I couldn't tell you the last time I used 3D Touch.
The only time I use it is when I want to share an app, and I 3D touch, I do a peek on it, and I go to share. That's it.
I do it the old-fashioned way. I just tell somebody about the app over the phone. Download it yourself.
Well, aren't you a social butterfly?
Do it on your own time. This is our time.
Well, we don't all have a payphone down on the corner, Brian.
Not only do we have new iOS gestures, but we have a new scanning app, and a lot of you are probably well aware of it. I am now using Voice Dream Scanner as my favorite scanning app. How about yourself there, Allison? Have you taken the dive?
I got it, but tell me why you like it, because I haven't used it. I have to admit, I'm a 1%er, and I have Ira read me most of my stuff.
Oh, look at you, Miss Fancy Pants.
Yeah, I do use Ira for most of my reading.
I, too, am an Ira Explorer now. And Brian, fess up.
But I only use it to find addresses to places I'm not supposed to be going to late at night.
Oh, okay.
And that 24-hour around-the-clock service from Ira is just one of the reasons that Brian is now an Ira Explorer. Strike that, a returning Ira Explorer. I used my Ira today because I raked the yard and I got to the end of it and called up the agent and I had him take a picture to verify that I did a good job and I could share it with the world that I did a good job.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, we must be on different packages because I raked my non-existent lawn, but I had the IRA agent come over and do it for me, so I just sat back with a beer.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That's a more expensive
That's
plan.
service. The other day, I took my dog out and I forgot bags, and of course he pooped. So then I took him inside and got bags, and then I had to use the IRA agent to help me find the
Boy, I
poop.
bet they loved looking for that.
They do it a lot, they said, actually. The lady laughed. She's like, yeah, we do that a lot.
Did they have to decide which pile was your dog's?
Thankfully, no.
I heard when
That's
Suman
good.
was thinking about coming up with Ira that he was trying to help his blind friend around, and his blind friend was making him find the poop. And he said, if only we could come up with a service you could call where somebody could see it for you so I don't have to do this. And that's how Ira was born. So if you've ever wondered about the history of Ira, you've just learned it
It
on
all
that blind
starts
pet show.
with
And just
Wow.
for our listeners' information, Brian did graduate from the Trump School of Truth, and more truths.
Dude, 99% of everything you hear on this show is true, but only 10% of that is true. So do the math. I like scanning my own mail. It's very quick. Never had issues. I know I don't know if it's maybe people that were born blind might have more difficulty understanding
Yes.
how to angle paper and
Yes, we
everything.
do.
So I do understand the limitations. Me, I
Whoa,
used to read at a third grade level.
Whoa. Did you say
What's that?
that people who are born blind have limitations?
May have more limitations when it comes to something like scanning a sheet of paper because they're not used to how it goes. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Am I incorrect, Allison, or is that offensive?
You are totally not incorrect. I have to work harder to be good with the camera. I admit that
Yeah.
because I've never
Now,
seen.
I don't think I'm saying anything over the line or anything. I'm just saying,
No.
over the line, Jeff call a foul. But no, I understand that. I'm being understanding of that. So I think,
I find your empathy really wonderful, Brian.
okay.
I totally understand what you're saying. I just wanted it to be explained a little bit more in detail. I'll give you an example. When I teach woodworking, there'll be some students that have spatial recognition as a challenge, and I'll have to adapt my teaching to that. And when you're talking about the relationship of a piece of paper to the camera and raising it up and tilting and right, left, all that,
Yep.
it can agitate someone and frustration sets in. And that seems to be the everlasting problem about scanning. Let's try barcodes once in a while. That too can be a pain. But I get it, Brian. I get it.
It's a skill that can be taught like any other, but I prefer Ira. But tell me about this voice dream scanner, Brian. Tell me. What do you like about it?
It works. It's fast. It's very accurate. And I was, I guess I jumped into KNFB Reader maybe a year after everybody else did. And it was great for a while, but talk about an app that's just gone terribly downhill. And the fact I think they're still charging $80 or $100 for it.
Yeah.
It's $6.99. It works lightning fast. It's very accurate.
Voice dream scanner? Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I
good.
mean, if it's something where I just need to see what it is real quick, which is 90% of my mail, I'll use Seeing AI. But if I want to, for example, the lease I just signed, I used Voice Dream Scanner to read the entire lease as I was signing it and everything. And yeah,
Oh, cool.
of course, watch.
really
I move
good.
there, and all of a sudden it's a cardboard box. So then we might come back and re-record this. It's Voice Dream, you screwed me. But,
Do you think Voice Dream Scanner will ever have VD Scanner ever catch on?
let's see. What does VD Scanner? Is there any negative connotation behind that?
Not since like 1973. You know?
Valentine's Day. I mean, come on, people. It's love.
Well, we know, Jeff, you did some stuff with Envision, but I think they've got a good product. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to pay every month when I could pay a one-time $6.99 fee.
I would have to say in Envision AI, Envision's the company, Envision AI is the app. To their defense, it's still developing. Yeah, the price is one thing.
They're all doing similar
Yeah.
things, it seems like. And it gets kind of confusing as to what apps.
Look at the choices we have. I
Yeah.
remember when there was
It's true.
nothing.
It's a good problem to
And-
have. It is.
Exactly. It's kind of like the streaming music service. There's just a billion of them.
I really like what Envision AI is doing. They're a small team, but they can put their app up against Microsoft's Seeing AI and do just as well in scanning text and other areas. They've even added object recognition, and now you can go into a scene and check for objects like, say, you're looking for your keys, a toothbrush, a chair, a bench, a street light, a cat, a dog. You can tap on that button, and then as you move your camera around, it'll seek out those objects.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
I think that's pretty pretty creative. Small team going against Microsoft. Hey, I'll tap my cane to that.
But they still don't have the feature I want where it compares every person you scan to a celebrity so you know what they kind of look like. And the celebrity's got to be pre-2009, which is when I went blind because we know it's all about me.
Of course.
So maybe have a filter on it, what years you could set it to and everything.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
This leads to one thing. You got innovative companies that are coming up with these products for the blind, like Envision AI. Got to give them kudos to it. They've come up with a product that is as good as all the others. They all have their good points about them. I can't take that away from any of them. However, when you have a company like Microsoft putting a whole team together from a lot of different companies, basically, and coming up with seeing AI and putting it out as a project and giving it away, does that hurt innovation? Like Apple coming out with a free voiceover and all the devices like Google and all the other big companies, when they do that stuff, that is a good thing. They can sleep good at night. They're helping the blind. It doesn't really help the small companies. They're kind of like the virtual Walmart coming to a small town.
That's a good question. I mean, I've been saying for a while, and maybe technology peaks every few years, that it seems like Apple has completely stopped innovating, especially when I read like the big things, rumored to be coming to the next iPhone, the greatest camera, blah, blah, blah. I'm so sick of hearing that,
Yeah.
I mean, how great can photos actually get? I mean, can you see every wrinkle on somebody's face? It does seem that companies have stopped innovating, and I don't know. I mean, I get it. A lot of people in the blindness community are on extremely limited budgets. So, they might have to count where every $7 a month go, and I feel awful for people like that. I understand that situation. So having a free option like Seeing AI is great, but when you have a free option, you are kind of stuck at their control. Although I can't even say that anymore because KNFB cost me $100 and you don't hear a peep out of them anymore.
Right. I think part of the problem is that we have, at least in terms of software, now AI is getting better, but in terms of software, I really feel like we've reached the limit of what technology is capable of, and we have to kind of wait for new stuff to be invented. Yeah. We almost need like another Steve Jobs to push things forward a little bit.
Why didn't they just clone him before he died?
Oh, like they didn't?
Hey, they cloned Walt Disney in the 20s, hey. We're waiting for that next bump up, and I think AI, I know there's a lot of work going on in that.
Well, here's a test for people. Who's going to an NFB or ACB convention? Anybody?
No.
Okay.
I may be going to ACB.
All right. Well, if you're at a convention this year, there used to be some companies there that used to get 4 or 5 tables. They used to get like a corner. It used to wrap around. One was called Independent Living. They'd have tables full of gadgets and stuff. Now, this last year that I went, 2 tables. That's it.
Well, because everybody's using their iPhones for everything now.
I know.
You don't need a special gizmo and gadget for every little thing.
Yeah. Well, the iPhones, it's made these companies more obsolete, and there is a select part of the blindness community that refuses to use a smartphone.
Still likes their dang talking clocks. Yeah.
Yeah, those products are for, but that part of the blindness community is coming smaller and smaller every year.
Yeah.
When was the last time you thought about purchasing Kurzweil 1000?
Never,
because between NVDA and JAWS,
and the price of it years ago, I don't know what it's cost these days. But
I don't know. Are they still updating it? I mean, I know with OpenBook, they've just subsumed that into JAWS, basically.
Yeah.
I remember an ad that came out, and it was talking. This was a few years ago, and it was showing an ad like for 1991 Memorial Day weekend for Radio Shack. It had like the top 8 products, and every product was now obsolete thanks to the iPhone. It was like an alarm clock, a calculator. So it's not just assistive technology that's changing; it's technology in general. I mean, what was the company that made all those calculators?
Casio.
Yeah, are they in business anymore?
They make keyboards, pianos, organs.
Organs for people? That's a weird transition.
Lungs, kidneys. Yeah.
What do they got? One of those 3D printers?
Yeah.
Talk about an interesting transition for a company.
They've been calculating this for years.
But I bet Allison's now kicking herself because I know she sold her Sonos to a certain That Blind Tech show, and now you can play Apple Music directly on the Sonos with the A-Lady, Allison. What are your thoughts about that?
But I have an A-Lady that I can do that with.
Oh, go ahead. Make it simple. Fine.
Yeah.
I have 2 Echo Pluses with an Echo subwoofer, and I have them in a stereo pair, and I have this Echo sub sitting on the floor for ultimate bass.
Did you get rid of your HomePod, by the way?
No, I've kept them.
You're the one?
I'm the one?
Yeah, person that bought a HomePod. I heard sales were not great, but
Hey, they just discounted the price.
They did, but I'm a little jealous because I could have saved $100 on a stereo pair.
Or you could have just bought them from yourself. Oh, those were the Sonos.
My point was, I mean, it's great that you could do this all on the Echo devices and everything, but it's great.
Yeah.
I don't even have Apple Music. And speaking of which, I did want to talk to you about music streaming services because I can't keep track of how many there are now, whether it's Pandora and Sirius and Pandora and Spotify, which have they made Spotify fully accessible yet, by the way? Anybody know?
The iPhone app is fine. I have it.
Okay. And Apple Music, Amazon Music, Google. Doesn't Google and YouTube also have their own music services?
Yep, I've got a foot in all of those, actually.
Now, why do you have more than one, Alice?
Because oftentimes there are things you can find on one that you can't find on another. I like the radio stations in some of them. Like, I like the YouTube Music. If you have a YouTube Red subscription, you get the Google Play Music as well. I like some of the radio stations that YouTube Music does. I find that the YouTube Music will, like, for example, when I'm playing a Tom Petty radio station, it'll play a lot of the live stuff from his last tour. So that's been pretty cool.
Brian, it's like pickles. You get choices. You want a dill pickle? You want sliced pickles? You want sweet pickle? You want relish?
I don't want any. Don't come anywhere near me with those things. I do not like pickles. Ugh.
That's why you're not moving to New York, because I only have one music service, but I currently have 3 different kinds of pickles in the refrigerator.
Wow, that's insane. No, I'll just move to Ohio and eat Skyline chili.
Amazon is now doing an ad-based playlist music type of deal where you can get free music on your Amazon device. And I think only Spotify has that where, you get ads, but they
but
just,
you get it for free.
you don't get to pick your songs.
Right.
They just playlists basically.
Well, I actually technically I have 2 music services because I have Amazon Unlimited, which I couldn't tell you the last time I used, and I have Sirius XM and everything, which I only use for sports really.
But that's not really a music. I mean, it's a music service and then it plays.
Oh, Sirius has billions of channels.
Well,
of music.
I know they have, but what I'm saying is when I think of a music service, I think of I can tell it to play this thing and it plays that thing. And Sirius XM is not.
How many hours a day do you listen to music?
A lot,
Allison?
Actually. It helps me to focus when I'm working.
Oh, see, I can't listen to music by
Well, I got Xfinity, but they play music, but I don't call that a music service.
I thought you told me you were still listening to 8-tracks, Jeff.
Only the good ones.
Only the Oak Ridge Boys?
No, only the good ones die young.
Oh, okay. Billy Joel, who just played his 59th consecutive date at Madison Square Garden.
If it wasn't for 8-tracks, you wouldn't have been conceived, dude.
That's very true. That's I can't believe my parents tell you all the personal stuff, Jeff.
Yeah, that's really, I mean, that's really, really.
Well, they just tell me that I'm not the son they never had. I'm just the son that Brian never was.
Wow.
It's 2019 and we're through the first quarter, I guess.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Finally, Hulu has rolled out their impressive described video. And when I say impressive, I mean the complete freaking opposite. A whopping 4 titles with described video. And I haven't tried this, but what I'm hearing in the grapevine, and this is a good grapevine, is it is unbelievably difficult in a lot of cases. You need sighted assistance to turn the described video on.
I'm so glad I canceled my Hulu subscription and I will not be reactivating it anytime soon.
No.
Just saying.
No. Well, they did have some new show that sounded really stupid come out today, so maybe they have 5 tracks with described video now. But talk about just not caring in the slightest. I mean, the fact that they re-air so much television that airs with described video, Hulu, you suck.
Yep.
It's just despicable. You're despicable. That's all I can really say on that, Jeff, because I can't curse on this show. What are your thoughts, Jeff, about Hulu?
So you're saying there's a chance, Brian?
I can't tell you how I really feel because we're a PG show. To quote Kurt Russell.
I thought we were going to get through one of these shows without a quote.
Without a movie quote? To quote Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash, my colleagues here have spoken very eloquently about Hulu, but I gotta tell you, I think this whole thing just sucks. So if you're using Hulu and you like it, let us know what you like about it, and do let us know where you are actually playing it. I heard you can't use it on the Amazon Fire TV with described video, the Apple TV with described video. I'm assuming whatever the Google devices are don't have any described video. So yeah, I basically heard it's very difficult to use. Anytime I hear somebody say what are the minimum accessibility demands or features, that word minimum just makes my I'm not a violent person, but I'm going to break out the baseball bat for the Hulu executives. I'm going to go what they did to Joe Pesci in the end of Casino. There's a second reference for you, Jeff. Yeah, that was not good. So
I was hoping for something from Home Alone.
My parents are like best friends with Daniel Stern's cousin or something. I have no idea what the relationship is. But
I think before we do another podcast for That Blind Tech Show, Allison and I should actually put 2 TV shows out there, and those are the only ones you can use throughout the show.
What do you mean? References?
So we'll just randomly throw out 2 titles, and you can only refer to those.
I thought I was supposed to be allowed to have fun doing this show. Thanks for ruining it for me.
If anybody's having fun listening to this show, just give us a jingle at... Oh, we don't have a phone, do we?
No, we don't.
No. Our interns dropped the ball on that one, as usual.
Unless you count that rotary dial phone.
Where are we? Every time you go Hulu on us, it's like we get totally distracted.
I know, but we're off the Hulu now. So a lot of services have closed down recently. Google Plus, BlackBerry Messenger, which I used back in my last real job and everything. So it made me think, Allison, have there been any services that have shut down in the last few years that you are missing, or have other things just really popped up and replaced them?
No, none at all. Whenever a service like that has closed, I've been like, oh, okay, well, I didn't really ever use that anyway, so...
Napster?
Well, Napster, when the free Napster went away, I was devastated, of course,
That was replaced with Kazaa and then Demonoid.
And replaced with, Audio Galaxy. I don't know if anyone remembers Audio.
Oh, Audio
It was so accessible. And I remember one weekend, they had transitioned from a free service to a half pay service, and then it eventually became Rhapsody or something, which was terrible in terms of accessibility.
You guys disgust me. I pay for all my music.
Audio Galaxy, I used it on my little 56K modem connection, and then the one weekend I got grounded, and I came back, and it was no more, and I was devastated.
And this was just last week, right? You got grounded.
Oh, yes. I was very bad last week.
You could just go click on the songs. You could go down the list, click on the songs, and it would just start lining them up to download.
And then you had this little list box that was so beautiful, and it showed the transfer rate and the percentage.
Oh,
yeah. And then someone would call.
Yep. No! Yeah.
Dude, what was that? You guys were on baud modems then?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we got something against that?
Yeah.
That's all we have.
You ever hear Demonoid?
Oh, yeah. I used Demonoid for a while. I used the Pirate Bay a lot. I don't even know if torrents are still a thing, because I stream everything now.
They are. I have a good
in
friend
gaming. Gamers usually use that stuff.
Yeah. I love Demonoid because you could, David Bowie, download his entire collection, one click, and it was just so great. And I remember when Demonoid got shut down, it was the night before the Ukrainian technology czar was meeting with the United States government, and sure enough, they found all Demonoid servers somewhere in the Ukraine, and they got shut down. And it was a sad day. But I've always just for legal purposes, I've never illegally downloaded any content. Never. No.
I never got that thing from Comcast before I got unlimited data.
We don't encourage downloading or piracy of any kind, except if you're on a boat. And
yeah.
All right, Mr. TiVo. How's your Blind Mice Mart catalog doing?
No comment. The only piracy of any kind we encourage is a ride down in Disney World. How's that? Actually, there is one service that went away that I do miss, and there was just nothing that ever replaced it. It was MySpace.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the Yankees bullpen.
No, I'm still missing that. Yeah, that's a little painful and everything. But if only there was some kind of social network that could replace MySpace and give away all my personal information.
Yeah, for free. You might want to give Facebook a try. Just
What's
saying.
this Facebook you talk about?
It's this kind of ubiquitous
Wasn't there
thing.
another thing that popped up the same time as Facebook that was like Friend Me or something, or what the heck was
Friendster?
Friendster.
Yeah, Friendster. Yeah.
How pissed are you if you had created Friendster and the other guy becomes a gazillionaire and you have nothing?
Yeah.
Brian, do you realize that you just asked 3 questions and didn't let anybody answer one of them?
Allison and I were talking. I forgot you were here.
You're so quiet and unassuming, Jeff.
Yes. I'm sorry,
I'm from
Jeff.
Minnesota.
Would you like to Jeff, do you miss MySpace?
No, you're moving from it, aren't you? I hope it burns down.
Bump. Were you on Friendster?
And leave your squeaky chair there.
Oh, dear.
I did want to look at new chairs, but
all night long.
all night. Billy Ocean. Was that Billy Ocean?
No, Lionel Richie. Yeah.
I told you I know nothing about music. So movies. If you would have quoted a movie, it would have been a perfect lead.
You were close, but it was the other side of the pond.
Okay. Which pond?
He doesn't get it. Oh my goodness.
Ocean.
Billy
pond.
Ocean is British.
Who's British? Billy Ocean?
Billy
Is
Ocean.
he? Since when?
Oh my gosh.
Since always.
Look it up on your TiVo. I'm sure he's in there.
Oh my
1990. Come on.
Alexa, who's Billy Ocean?
Billy Ocean is a Trinidadian English.
He's Trinidadian.
He's English though.
But he's English.
Okay,
He
I have
lives in
headphones
England.
on. I couldn't hear that. Okay, let's wrap this up. Let's get to our final segment.
I'll get it. Welcome to That Blind Tech Show. How are you doing?
Yeah, this is, well, it doesn't matter what my name is. This is a question for Brian. This is like the 90s. Can we have our TiVo back?
Brian, you should block the 90s.
3, 2.
No, it's 3, 4, 5. Remember?
Oh, yes, that's right. I
Lord.
got to muck something up. So 3, 4, 5. And now we get to the listener's favorite portion of the show and my host's least favorite part of the show.
Oh boy.
What's pissing off Brian
Everything.
now?
Not Hulu.
Oh, yeah, we should have moved that. Hey, you can edit that over here.
No.
Apple accessibility events. This thing enraged me, Allison, where it was on by default, and then Apple came out like a week later with a disclaimer. Oh, no, you have to actually go into the second part and turn it on. So even though it said it was on, it wasn't really on. What were your thoughts about this whole accessibility gate?
What are you even talking about? I have no idea what.
So it's an experimental thing that they're doing. So I don't really care that it's not really out there yet.
Yeah.
Because it's experimental.
No, it also tells websites whether or not you're using a screen reader.
I don't understand why that's a big deal.
Well, I don't want random websites I go to know that I'm using a screen reader to access the website. I don't think it's any of their business.
I don't
That's why it's a
care.
big deal. Okay. You don't care.
I don't care.
I care.
Well,
So,
I know. I gather that, and I don't want to minimize your caring by my lack of caring. I'm just going to sit here
you don't have to care
quietly and
about
not
everything.
care.
I care about.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Wait.
I don't like.
Your turn, Allison.
I don't care. We're such jerks to each other.
I care. I just don't think it's any business of a website to know what technology I'm using to access it, and I don't.
Yeah,
I just didn't like.
okay.
I didn't like the way it was presented by Apple. You know,
I do like a browser to know that I'm using a screen reader if it works well for me to interact with it. I do not like Amazon's what is that? They have a different website.
Yeah, their dumbed down website.
I don't like that type of thing.
No.
When they dumb it down, exactly. If they're going to make it so it works better, good. I'm glad they're letting developers use it. Why did they even put it into the public software for them to test? Is that what it's for?
I don't know. They've really, like I said, they didn't even do it. Just appeared with no explanation, and then about a week later, they said, "Well, technically, it's not turned on." It seemed like Apple was backtracking, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. Am I going to stop using any Apple products? No.
Clearly not.
But I don't have to be thrilled with everything. You know, our Android listeners will be happy to know I'm not thrilled with everything Apple does. And it was pissing Brian off, so that's why it made it into this segment.
No, I understand what you're saying, Brian, because I don't want to go to my website and all of a sudden it's populated with like Perkins Braille are half off, NFB canes are free, IRA 20% discount, act now. Jeff, are you low on Braille dots? No, they would never use it for marketing, would they?
I don't know. Anyhow, there's, of course, a little more that's pissing me off.
Really?
No.
Touch ID with financial apps. It's stopped working, and I'm really wondering if this has anything to do with the new Apple. For example, Citibank Touch ID no longer works, and Credit Karma, my Touch ID is no longer working. I went into the settings.
My Credit Karma signed with my Face ID.
Okay, well, with Touch ID, I've gone into my settings, and it says Touch ID enabled as Nash is barking in his sleep in the other room. That's cute. Oh, there he goes again. So anyway, yeah, I just noticed this with two of my main financial apps. They just stopped working. It still works with my Chase card, which is great.
Weird.
But
yeah,
I'm wondering if Apple's going to start maybe limiting, with their whole, it just overnight, they just stopped working. And I've powered off the phone. I've powered it back on. So, yeah, this is, it's upsetting.
I don't know.
Emotionally.
Well, yeah, I'd be upset too. Have you tried unenabling it and re-enabling it?
Yep,
Disabling
of course,
it?
of course. I troubleshoot. Yeah. I'm not that guy that calls you up.
Shoot that trouble. Shoot that trouble.
We
Yeah,
have
right.
to ask those questions, though, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy that calls you up and asks the question and you're thinking, well, why didn't you just Google this? I'm not here.
Is your car in park?
Is the machine plugged in and switched on?
And the final thing that's pissing me off is the email
Final,
that I got.
like there'll be no more?
Ever? Wow.
No.
Go ahead.
This is just this episode. Dropbox, I feel, is strong-arming me, as I have 72 devices, and they're telling me that now only 3 of my devices can connect to Dropbox on my basic plan. This is a new policy by Dropbox. I have seen a lot of people out there upset by this, that I can no longer add new devices to Dropbox without, getting a premium plan. And honestly, the only thing I really use Dropbox for is to upload these files to.
Mr. Fischler,
Yes.
are you receiving the services of Dropbox for free?
Yes.
Then settle.
Settle? So
Court is adjourned.
just settle?
Well, I mean, 3 devices. What do you need? You're going to upload it from your Mac, right?
I just feel like I'm being strong-armed into buying it, and I don't.
How many devices do you actually have, Brian?
This show's only supposed to be an hour. If I start counting, we can be here
No,
for
I mean,
days.
but how many are you going to use? You're probably not going to use more than 3, so get rid of some. I had to do that on my boyfriend's computer because we got him set up with a Windows box.
Well,
and,
just quick, I have 2 Macs, 1 iPad, and 2
You
iPads.
completely interrupted me, Mr. Fischler. And
Of course.
all we had to do was go in and delete some of those devices, some of which were just old things that he doesn't even use anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really simple to just go in and delete those, and then he was able to keep his free Dropbox.
Yeah. I don't need my Dropbox on my iPad because I use that for specific things. I like it on my phone and I like it on my Mac. That's it. But I have a terabyte. I'm a paying customer.
I am a paying customer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
so I
love
have
my
to steal
terabyte.
your guys' password, okay?
Good luck.
6 devices, 6 mainstream devices.
Okay, if you're complaining about Dropbox, how about Apple? You pay $9.99 to get 2 terabytes of storage on Apple, and you can't even share 1 file with a friend.
Nope. It's too hard. It's
Nope.
like impossible.
It's all about you, Brian.
I guess you guys don't agree with me. You think I should pay for it.
I think you should either pay for it or shut up.
Yeah. So.
I wish that in the File app that's on your iPhone, if you could share from there, that would be nice.
Yes. That would be really nice.
They'll have it by 2119.
Yes. When we're all dead.
We'll be dead way before then.
Yeah.
When we're all cloned
Yeah.
with Steve Jobs.
Who's going to be the first of us to go? I'm betting me.
If your life is anything like that chair,
Squeaky? Oh, yeah. So, Allison, when's the move? Or do you not want to tell the listeners?
I fly out of San Francisco into Cincinnati the evening of May 5th. I get there May 6th. I start my new job in Dayton May 13th, and I'm very excited. Very excited.
What are you going to be doing work-wise?
I'm going to be doing rehabilitation counseling. My goal will be to hopefully get back into management at some point, but there was a counselor opening that came up, and I'm really excited to get back to working with consumers again directly. It's going to be fun.
So they have blind people in Ohio, too, is what you're saying.
They do have blind people in Ohio, yes.
But isn't the song If You're Going to San Francisco?
Not if you're leaving San Francisco. Well, believe me, if you lived anywhere near San Francisco as a single person trying to rent, you'd want to leave San Francisco too.
Yeah, the rent in New York City's not that bad. You might not be going anywhere, but you just got back from a conference. How was D.C.?
it was really good. I went out to the National Council of State Agencies for the Blind and all the state agency executive directors, and hopefully there are people who do policy were out there. NFB was out there, ACB was out there, AFB was out there, plus you had the Department of Education out there, WinTech, and few other people out there. So it's really good to see that the agencies, which you're working in, that type of field, Allison, they're sharing, they're caring, since that's Brian's word today. They're sharing ideas, they're the best practices and all that. RSA was there in getting the best way to spend the money, especially the 15% for transition students. It's good that they're out there sharing ideas, hopefully making it better for the consumers.
Wow, that's awesome and everything. Well, like Allison, I am moving as well, but I'm only going 4.5 blocks. That'll be sweet. I'm just hoping this will be our last show that I do. But Allison, this is, I guess, your last show in San Francisco. So
yeah,
we'll be in new studios.
Both be on East Coast time too, which will make planning this a lot easier.
Oh yeah, it'll make it a lot easier. And then I've got May 4th here in New York City at my neighborhood watering hole. We are having a huge retirement party for my guide dog, which is going to be pretty sweet and everything. And then he'll be moving down to Florida. We'll be doing a new show before then, May 19th, and I still have been blocking that out of my head and everything. And I guess for now, follow us at Blind Tech Show on Twitter. Allison is hot, the number 4 technology. Mr. Jeff Thompson at known as Jeff. I am at Blind Gator. We are the Blind Abilities Podcast Empire. You could download us through the Blind Abilities app, download us through that Blind Tech Show feed, listen to us on your A-Lady, your G-Lady, or I don't know, Jeff, can you tell Siri to play us or not yet?
Sure.
Or you could listen to us on the Blind Abilities app on your iOS device. We are out.
TBT2, TBT2. This is TBT1. How copy? Over. Yes, this is TBT2 standing by. TBT2, do you have a visual on the secondary target? Yes, we do. Presently, the secondary target is in the kitchen, scratching his butt, texting someone named Allison Mervis, and watching TiVo. TBT2, say again, did you just say TiVo? Yes, solid copy on TiVo. Anyway, breach. What are you doing? Oh, no! TBT1, secondary target is neutralized. Very good. TBT2, go to primary target. No, leave it alone. No, don't do it. No. TBT1, chair is no longer squeaky. No, you.
Enable the blind ability skill on your Amazon device just by saying Enable Blind Abilities.
When we share
what we see through each other's eyes, we can then begin to bridge the gap between
the limited expectations and the reality of blind abilities.
The realities of blind abilities.
For more podcasts with a blindness perspective, check us out on the web at www.blindabilities.com, on Twitter at blindabilities. Download our app from the App Store, blindabilities, that's 2 words, or send us an email at info@blindabilities.com. Thanks for listening.